There's a guy, he gets on my nerves. Every time I see him, my blood boils. He gets right under my skin. I can't bear to see the sight of him. He winds me up just by me seeing him. I can't stand him. I don't ever want to be around him. When I hear his name mentioned by other people, it gets on my nerves. I don't like it. I don't like him. I don't like his name. I don't like thinking about him. I don't like it when other people speak about him. I just can't stand him. Yet I am a Christian. Yet I am a believer. Yet I am born again. I go to church every Sunday. I go to the midweek meeting. I go to the conferences year in, year out. But when I see this guy, I get so wound up. My blood boils. I'm reaching boiling point. I can't stand him. I don't want to be around him. Just the thought of him makes me feel sick. When other people talk about him, I can't stand it. I can't bear it. I don't want to ever see him again. Yet I am a believer. I go to church. I say my prayers. I sing songs of worship. I take Holy Communion. I do all of these things. Yet when I see this guy, I am wound up. My blood boils. I can't stand him. I have such a bad attitude as you can guess towards him. Will I ever be free? Can I ever get rid of this bitterness towards him? I speak about him to other people in a bad way. I make fun of him to other people. I say things that aren't pleasant about him to other people. Yet I am a believer. I can't stand him. I can't bear the thought of meeting him. I don't want to see his face, yet I am a believer. I go to church. I say my prayers. I wake up in the morning and I pray. I go to bed at night and I pray. Yet I can't stand him. I am so bitter towards him. We talk about him and I can't stand it. I talk about him to my friends. I talk about him to my families and I tell them how bad he is. Yet he has done nothing to me. Yet he has done no ill towards me. But for some reason, I just can't stand him. I can't bear it. I can't wait never to see him again. I would be happy if I never saw him again. But I always see him in my mind. My mind talks to me about him and I can't stand it. My blood boils. I am so bitter. I am so twisted towards him. I talk about him in a bad way to other people. I am angry. I am bitter. I am negative. My heart is full of anger and bitterness towards him. I can't stand him. Did he do something? I can't even remember. How long has it been? I can't even remember. I think he said something one time and I didn't like it. And for that reason, I resented him. That resentment grew into anger. That anger grew into bitterness. Yet I am a believer and I go to church and I say my prayers and I sing songs of worship. I go to the conferences. I go to the men's meetings. I go to the other conferences that there are in the year. But yet I can't stand him. I do not like him. The bitterness grew and grew and grew. It's affecting my thoughts. My thoughts bring him up. My thoughts bring him up and I can't stand it. I am so bitter. I am so bitter. Yet I am a believer. Yet I am a believer. I can't stand him. I can't stand him. yet I say my prayers. I can't stand him, yet I read my Bible. I can't stand him, yet I do all the Christian things. I can't stand him, yet I am a ministerial role. I can't stand him, and I teach in church. I can't stand him. I am bitter, I am negative, and my emotions are so bad towards him. I can't stand him, yet I am a believer. I am a believer. I have given my life to Jesus, yet I can't stand him. I can't stand him. My mind brings him up. When I'm at work, I am thinking. When I'm driving my car, I am thinking about him. I can't stand him. I can't stand him. I can't stand him. This is the story of you. This is the story of me. This is our story. Will God work in my life while I am like that? I doubt it. Will God work in your life while you are like that? I doubt it. Yet I am a believer, and so are you. And I go to church, and so do you. And I say my prayers, and so do you. And I read my Bible, and so do you. Yet I can't stand him. Will God work in our lives? I don't think so. I don't think so.